Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome on in. Welcome to the 411 podcast. Listen, I'm going to be honest. I was rocking. I was rocking in the minute, in the beginning. Yeah, I wanted to keep that intro going. I was like, oh, yeah, this is on. I wanted to keep that thing going. I'm going to listen to the replay just to hear that intro. Wow, some of the music that is selected, I'll be like jamming jamming behind the scenes. But that one, I have to say that was my top one coming in. I was like, oh yeah, they did it tonight with that one. So welcome on in. Welcome to the 411 podcast. It feels so great to be here. Let me tell you, it's been a journey. I'm at that point where I'm ready. I'm here. So we getting ready to go to new heights. In the beginning, when we first start off, we hit our little bumps and then we get into our groove. Now we pass that. Now we just going to elevate and we're going to continue to get higher and higher and higher. So thank you so much. Please come on in. Please invite your friends. Subscribe, share, tag, like, do whatever you have to do to let people know exactly what we have going on here. This is a movement. And like I said, I'm in my zone right now. And I appreciate everybody who's been coming in and supporting. And listen, we're going to learn, we're going to elevate, we're going to grow together. I am fresh out of a class. So Thursdays is truly coaching Thursdays. It really, truly is. Because prior to this, I am teaching a group session from 6 and then boom, I'm right here at 7. So 2 hours straight of me doing this. So yeah, Thursdays truly is a coaching session. So welcome on in to the 4-1. Before I get started, of course, I want to go ahead and give a very special thank you to my executive producer, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because without you, none of this will be possible. And without each and every one of you out there, none of this will be possible as well. This truly is a good representation of how this thing is bigger than me. And this is not me. And I'm not going to take any type of credit. I am just a vessel. I am here to just spread the word. And that's all that I am at this moment. So, yeah, I give it all up. Yes, Laren did not do all of this stuff on his own. Absolutely not. I'm not taking credit for it. I would be foolish to even ever come out here acting like that. Thank you so much to my family, supporters out there. Birdman 313 came through last night and a great, amazing reading between a wine session. And again, let me tell you, God pulled us through last night, and what an amazing show. So please go ahead and watch that replay. Let's go and get right into last night. So Birdman 313 came through. I shared the book with you, Budgeting 101. So I read an excerpt from that as well. And I sampled Dreambird Pinot Grigio. And I have most of that bottle left. So I wasn't drinking like crazy last night, which we spoke about that as well. You can have a little bit of everything that you want in life. You just can't get too crazy on one. And I've learned that. And I had to learn that I can like and enjoy and do many things, but I just can't get too crazy over one. The minute that you start getting too crazy over that one thing, it's going to pull you in the wrong direction. So we learn how to do things in moderation here these days. So you can have a little bit of everything that you want in life. You just can't get too crazy over one. So last night it was a smart start or a setback. So I challenge everybody in your life, is it going to be a smart start or is it going to be a setback? And we helped Miss Nia out last night when it comes to making some decisions as far as what she has going on in her world. And Birdman helped me dissect that and give some information to Nia. So watch that replay. So can overconsumption of over one thing be too much, and can it get you stuck and keep you off track? Now, think about what I said before. You can have a little bit of everything that you want in life. You just can't get too crazy over one. So the answer is yes. The most important aspect is making sure that you do what works for you. Do what works for you. Don't try to outdo the next person. Don't be taking on too much to try to keep up with someone. I spoke about keeping up with the Joneses, keeping up with the Kardashians. Let me tell you, I don't know who the Joneses are. I don't know when they move next door, but I don't want them. I don't want to be around them. I don't even want to know them, because for people who know the Joneses, that must mean that you're trying to keep up with them and you want to see what they have and be what they are. Absolutely not. I want no parts of that. So be very careful with that. 9 out of 10 times when you take on too much, you want to do too much, you want to be like this person, you want to be like that person, your arms are so filled, your head is so filled, your space is so filled with taking on extra things that you can't even take anything else. Another analogy that I spoke about previous podcasts is just think about when you go to the grocery store. You know that you were supposed to get the shopping cart, but you didn't get the shopping cart. Then you looked at that little basket and you were like, yeah, no, I'll just go ahead and get one or two, three things. And you're walking around a grocery store, whatever store it is, and you realize that I actually need more. So I have one or two things in my arms, and then you're trying to juggle them and carry a whole bunch of things. And there it comes to a point where you can't carry anything else. That's the same thing with our mental space. It comes to a point where you can't carry and take on anything else. And then when you're in the store and you're trying to juggle around, if you're anything like me, you think that you can do it. You think you can, the extra bottle of ketchup or whatever. You think that you can carry the case of water on your shoulder while you have the other stuff going on, and you got the bananas hanging off your pinky finger, and then you just all of a sudden drop things. And then one thing falls, and then the next thing falls, and the next thing falls. So, yes, overconsumption, doing too much could be a problem. Excuse me. I need to take a little sip here. Talking for like it's going to be 2 hours straight. Yes, that could be a problem. So be very careful with that. And then we also spoke about being optimistic. The song of the day was Optimistic by The Sounds of Blackness. You want to be very optimistic over your situation. And the name of the game is to seek help when you need it. If you tried it, you took on some things, you tried to learn this, you tried to figure this out, but you keep hitting this roadblock and you get to this point where you realize, well, I just can't figure this out. Instead of trying to continuously spinning your wheels, picking up more things and taking up more things and loading up your basket, how about you just pump your brakes a little bit and say, okay, now's the time that maybe I might need to sit down with somebody who knows a little bit more than I do. Maybe I need to sit down with somebody who has a little bit more experience in this area. Remember, like Mickey Howard, experience is a good teacher, but it takes someone like me to know. Look around. I'm sure that God has put somebody in your path. God has put somebody in your area to help teach and train and move you into the next part of your life. But what stops us from getting to the next part of our life, what stops us from moving the needle, is one single word, and that is action. Now, if you know that you're in a state, you know that you're in a situation where you might need to change or a cause for change, but you sit there and you do nothing and you don't take action, you're not going to get to the next level. That's what we spoke about last night. Go ahead and watch that replay. Reading Between the Lines with Birdman 313. Now we're going to go ahead and get into the song of the day tonight. Superwoman by Karyn White. Released in 1989 off of her debut album, self-titled Karyn White. Now, tonight's show, the title is Single Mom Struggles. So, of course, we have Mother's Day coming up this week, so it makes sense for us to, give something for the mother. So, this is a show that we would say dedicated to the ladies. So, if you know of any single mothers, you might want to go ahead and share this and, invite them in, especially on a replay with this. Episode 10, Single Mom Struggle. Welcome to Coaching Session Thursdays, right here on the 411 Podcast. Song of the Day, Superwoman by Karyn White. I got to get my flow here, by Karyn White. Released in 1989 off of her self-titled debut album, Karyn White. So now when we think of Superwoman, now, Karyn, of course, was speaking about being in a relationship and someone taking advantage of her. But I want us to flip it. I want to remix it, especially for the ladies. So single mother struggles. A lot of single mothers, a lot of single parents. So we're going to open it up for the parents as well. They deal with a lot. And when they're able to handle it and when they're able to make things work and when they are able to make something out of nothing, yes, they are a superwoman. I know Karen White was saying I'm not a superwoman, but the ladies, for the things that you put up with and when you make things work, and I know because I was raised by a single mother, you are a superhero. You are a superwoman. So, um, shout out to all of the single mothers who make it work and make it do what it do. And this episode is for you. And we're going to go to Chicago, Illinois tonight. And we're going to help out Miss Denise. Denise is from Chicago, 38 years old, and she's a single mother and she's dealing with some issues. So come on this journey with me and let's see what we can do for Miss Denise. So Denise, as a single mother of two, Denise juggles work, childcare, and financial struggles. She knows she needs to budget, but every time she tries, she becomes mentally drained and overwhelmed. She often overspends out of guilt, buying small luxuries for her children because she feels bad about their financial situation. I'll read that again. Denise, as a single mother of two, she juggles work, childcare, and financial struggles. She knows she needs to budget, but every time she tries, she becomes mentally drained and overwhelmed. She often overspends out of guilt, buying small luxuries for her children because she feels bad about their financial situation. So, this is a tough one. And I know a lot of people deal with this situation. Guilt can get you into a bad situation, but overspending will get you into something even worse. And when you have debt, and when you're looking at how much money you're in debt, and if you get jammed up to the point where it makes a little bit more difficult for you to pay back debt, you're going to have a different type of guilt. So I would be very cautious with anybody who's trying to compensate when it comes to spending. And I'm sure some of us have heard the term, if you haven't heard it, but you can't buy love. That is absolutely true. I know so many people when they go through divorces, they're separated and, single parent. Don't get into the game of wanting to buy your children. Don't get into the game of wanting to outdo the other parent. Don't get into a game of wanting to buy your children's love and affection because it doesn't work. When they get older, it absolutely will not work. They might be mesmerized when they're younger and, the bells and whistles are there, but that stuff's going to fade. So be very cautious of that. The quality time that you spend with your children, the conversations and the love that you spend with them one on one is far more valuable than any materialistic things. And then more is caught than more is taught. So your children are going to pick up on a lot of different things that you are doing, whether you're sitting down telling them, don't do this or don't do that, do this, do that. More is caught than more is taught. So them seeing you spend money and how you flow with your money, more is caught than more is taught. You're basically teaching the next generation. And they're going to subconsciously pick up things regardless of whether you sit down and have a conversation with them or not. So spending, overspending, how you interact and just operate and move as an adult, period, you're shaping and molding your children's future. So you have to be very careful with that. So if you continue on this plan, what's going to happen is your children probably will fall into the same process that you are, go down the same path. They might end up becoming single parents as well, and it might end up creating the same exact cycle and trying to buy their children's love and affection as well. So be very careful with that. I know it's hard when you're out there, single parents, single mothers, people needing to pay for childcare, people needing to pay for child support. I get all that. I know it's not easy. And it does come time where we might need to look at our finances. We might need to see what we might need. I had this conversation, just about an hour ago during my coaching session. We need to figure out needs versus wants in our lives. And this is for everybody. Whether you're a single mother or whoever you are, it doesn't matter. We need to get to the point where it's down to needs versus wants. Because all of this extra spending of things that we want and it's not a necessity, that can put you into a situation. and you become so numb. What I get out of this is, you know, Denise has become very overwhelmed, mentally drained. And what happens when you become overwhelmed and mentally drained? Mind you, based off of some of the decisions that you've made, based off of some of the financial decisions that you made, based off of how many times you swiped a credit card or how many times you've made some bad uh, financial decisions, now you can become overwhelmed. Now you can become stressed out. Now you have this financial anxiety. And what typically happens is that there becomes some sort of financial avoidance. Financial avoidance. I'm just not going to take care of anything. I'm just going to give up. I'm just going to sit here. And this old term of it is what it is. Now, remember, everything starts with self. So, for those of you listening, whether you like your financial situation or you don't, or you feel that it could be better, just remember that everything starts with self. So, what we are experiencing here today is based off of our financial decisions and based off of our mindsets of yesterday. Now that we understand that what we're experiencing here in our real world is based off of what we were thinking and what we were doing yesterday, now's the day that we take a decision and we say, okay, so there's time for us to do something different. Today's the day where I'm going to do something a little bit different. So I would say for Miss Denise, and again, we don't know the full story. This is the only thing that we know. The overspending out of guilt, maybe we might need to get some coaching here to understand what this guilt is, understand what these finances are. What are we guilty about? Not having enough money? Well, why don't we have enough money? Is it because of the overspending? Take a look at your assets versus liabilities. Take a look at your need versus wants. Is there anything that you can cut? Is there anything that you can cut so that you have more money towards the end of the month? Because overspending, living from paycheck to paycheck, a lot of people experience that there's more month than me. And again, I spoke earlier about buying out of guilt because of the breakup, because of the divorce, because of whatever situation it is, because maybe it's not as good as what it used to be. The most valuable thing that you possibly can teach your children is how to handle money properly, how to not do the same exact things that you did in the future. So this situation is a little scary. We don't know how old the children are. You're paying for childcare, so I would assume that they're small. I guess it could be anywhere between, a toddler up to, elementary. I think when you're probably in like middle school, of course, high school, you're not paying for childcare. So these are little kids here. Sometimes the best thing that you can do is say, listen, we just don't have it like that. We don't have it like that. And this is, the value of money. And that will teach them that when they get older, that they can think about money a little bit differently. Just buying things, swiping a credit card, giving them whatever they need. They don't know the difference. They just wake up and they see things. They go to the refrigerator and they think that food is just supposed to appear there. But, they're a kid. That's not their job to worry about that stuff. Where the adults were supposed to, provide and, take care of those things. But there's a point where we start to teach them some responsibility. And by you being more responsible with the way you handle your finances, remember, more is caught than more is taught. They're going to pick up on that. So hopefully this was some good information for you. Again, I can't give anybody any advice on this. I'm just speaking from experience. And yeah. So Denise, Chicago, hopefully that was able to help you. So for those of you out there, how do you think that Denise can reframe her mindset? Because using money to help cure any emotional relief is a disaster. When emotions are high, intelligence goes out the window. So think about that. A lot of people make some financial decisions when they're emotional. Things aren't right. We know that this bill is due. We might be feeling bad because we don't have enough money, comparing ourselves to the next person. And this is another thing that I heard, being influenced by family members. I'm telling you, when emotions are high, intelligence goes out the window. Don't make any financial decisions when your emotions are high. We need to center ourselves. We need to breathe. Sometimes we might need to walk away. The best thing to do is to sleep on it. Don't make any financial decisions when your emotions are high. When emotions are high, intelligence goes out the window. Sounds like we might need to focus on a little mental work here. Get our mind together when it comes to money. Get our mind together when it comes to discipline. There's a lot of, I want to try to get this term properly. There we go. I got it. There's a lot of impulsiveness, it sounds like, in here. We're just going to be impulsive and we're just going to buy. Yeah, I might be feeling a certain way, so we're just going to go ahead and do whatever, and, to make ourselves feel better, make the children feel better. A lot of people get themselves into financial situations, and I know, listen, I don't know who I'm talking to. I'm just speaking from experience. So, experience is a good teacher, and it takes someone like me to know how many people shop impulsively in a emotional spend because there's a breakup, or there's a situation where something's not going right, and then they emotional eat. They'll go to fast food. I know I used to do that. Anytime somebody pissed me off in a work environment, it was sort of like a little joke. And they'd be like, "Hey, Laren, would you like me to go get you something from Burger King? Would you like me to go get you something?" And everybody would laugh and be like, "What are you, hangry?" That type of stuff. And we had this little joke going around with the manager. So here we are buying each other food and swiping the credit card and not thinking about it. I was in one work environment and this was terrible. I was like, "God, you need to get me out of here. You really need to get me out of here, because I don't know who these people think they are, but they ain't getting me trapped up into this." Now, I was in debt at that moment, but I knew I wasn't going to get into even more debt dealing with these people. They had this thing going on where 4 desks were aligned and they were all facing each other. Monday, you would buy everybody food. Tuesday, you would buy the next desk would buy everybody food, and they just circled it around. And by the time they got to my desk, I did that one time, and I said, "Absolutely not. We ain't doing this again," because now you start to feel obligated to buy food because everybody else are, and then you start to look like the outcast. Well, after the first time, when I looked and I said, "Wow, now if I had just went and got food on my own, I would have probably spent," and I'm just making this up, I'd have probably spent $15. I'm talking about today's prices. $15 to feed myself for some fast foods. Okay, let's just say $20, because we know how prices are nowadays. Can you imagine now when you got 4+ people? Now you're almost paying $100, but you're thinking, "Oh, well, that's not too bad because, the other 3 or 4 days somebody else is going to pick it up." But now, do we really need to be spending that money on food like that? Fast food every day? Number one, it's unhealthy, and you're falling into this vicious cycle of constantly consuming fast food and also digging into your bank, especially if you ain't got it like that. And peer pressure, when you're in a work environment and you're around people and you're around family and you want to try to get along with the get along, that's one of the main things. And here I've seen so many people swiping cards and doing things and putting themselves into financial situations, and they'll just deal with it. They'll laugh, they'll go along with the plan, but they feel the pain afterwards when behind closed doors. So many people, I don't even know how I'm going down here, and we just gonna stay on this and we gonna rock with this. So many people have themselves into terrible situations and they know how to dress it up. Yeah, you might look fly, the cars fly, you got that house and everything, but you ain't coming in there because they ain't got no furniture. They ain't got no food in the refrigerator. They ain't got their car insurance ain't together, but they driving around illegally. A lot of people that you be looking up to and trying to be like, and you have no idea what goes on behind closed doors. And a lot of that is impulsive spending, guilt spending, trying to keep up with the next, wanting what somebody else has. And you got to be careful with wanting what somebody else has, because if you do it long enough of contemplating and wanting and lusting after what somebody else has, trust and believe the universe will give you exactly what you want. And most of us, when we get it, we don't even want it. Ask ourselves, what did we get into? How did I get myself here? And then the first question is, well, how the hell do I get out? And then usually that's result in high consumer debt, credit card, payday loans. Hopefully I'm saying this right. Buy here, pay now, or something like that. I don't know, where they have this thing where you can pretty much get anything you want and it's financed immediately through these websites. Klarna and all these other things. Got to be careful with that stuff. Thank you so much for everyone who has joined in. I appreciate you. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, tag a friend, text a friend. Do whatever you need to do to let them know what we have going on here tonight on the 411 podcast. Thursday, May 8th. Single Mom Struggles, episode 10. Disc 5 Restoration. This is part of the mentorship series. So if you are interested in speaking with me here on a weekly basis, reach out to me, because I'm looking for new students to come in and we can dissect and go over and learn all of this debt-free living stuff from a spiritual, mental, physical, and financial aspect. You can head on over to LarenGaines.com. You can text me 609-200-1098. You can also email me at info@LarenGaines.com. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of the love and support, and we are definitely headed in all new direction. So now this is a moment where we go ahead and flip it. Burning questions. Please feel free to reach out and let me know. Give me feedback on just the overall run of tonight's show, how you feel about tonight's show. Let me know how you feel about the burning questions. Also, if there is anything that you'd like me to discuss, let me know. I can also change the scenario so that nobody knows that it's you. I know I've done that a couple times so that you can get that answer that you need. You can get that information. Again, I'm not here to give anybody any advice. I'm only here to dissect this, let you know the information that I have. Check the facts. I always say that, check the facts. Don't just go and run. Do your own research. You have to do your own due diligence. Don't just go run and listen to what somebody says. And I don't care who it is, whether it's me or anybody else. Don't just go listen to what somebody has to say and not do your own research. Always be learning. You want to go ahead and learn and know for yourself as well. So we can just scratch the surface a little bit, give you what you need, and what you do afterwards, that is totally up to you. Burning questions. What is one piece of advice that you received that completely shifted the way you approach life? Again, what is one piece of advice you recently, I don't even know what that was. What is one piece of advice you received that completely shifted the way you approach life? 609-200-1098. That is the official 411 podcast hotline. So this is so mystical because, again, I was just speaking about this in my earlier class. The one piece of advice that I received that completely shifted the way I approach life is, and I've been saying this all week, it is just a known fact. It is a part of my life, and it will always be, when I learned from my mentor that everything starts with self. And I say that a lot because it's so true, and I didn't know it at the time. My mentor kept saying, Laren, everything starts with self, and I didn't get it. I was I was in an emotional wreck. My nervous system was unregulated. It was all over the place. Didn't know who I was. I constantly thought that I can change somebody else. And whenever I told her stories of what I was doing and what I was trying to accomplish, the first thing that she said was, Laren, everything starts with self. And that's just a small little piece of advice that she gave me. And then there's more that you can tack on to that. But the first piece was everything starts with self. And I didn't understand it, but we have a hard enough time controlling ourselves. That's why it's called self control. We have a hard enough time controlling ourselves. That's why they say you need to get some self control. You have no self control. You lost control. Yeah, because that's a hard job and it's not easy for everybody. And what you did today, when you wake up tomorrow, guess what? The button has been hit for the reset button, and now you have to focus and work probably even harder. And the more that you work hard on self control, the more that you control yourself, the easier that it gets. But that doesn't mean the next day that you wake up, you have to go ahead and that button has been reset, and that's why it's called self control. Because every day in life, it's about having some self control. It's about having control over your situation. Everything starts with self. Now, think about how many people have no self control. Think about people who are out of control. And most people who are out of control, like I used to be, a lunatic all over the place, cussing people out, screaming, yelling, thinking that I can control people, both in my personal life and my professional life. A mess all over the place. That's being out of control. That's having no self control. But then you think that you can control somebody else. And that's that one piece of advice. Learn everything starts with self. And then as I started to learn that, and I had to tell someone this tonight, no matter what the outcome is, you want to learn about financial literacy. And this is most of the time when it happens in these relationships. You want to learn about financial literacy. You want to get your life together, but your partner is experiencing some financial avoidance. They don't want to pull their weight. They probably overspend. You're going back and forth. You're having arguments. Oh, and by the way, this is the number one reason relationships don't work out is, due to money. Besides people cheating and being, you know, ungrateful and disrespectful, money definitely plays a big part as far as why families break up and people don't get it together. You can't beat people into submission. I'm like, wow. Okay, so number one, everything starts with self. And no matter what the outcome is, whether you're attached to a lunatic that could care less about the situation, whether you're the lunatic, like, it doesn't matter because guess what? If someone doesn't do it your way, you don't do it their way. It is what it is because you can't beat people into submission. You can't make them see things your way. See, God will let you see things that I can't see. And I see things that you can't see. And sometimes, no matter what it is, this party or that party may never see it. And it's supposed to be that way. And it's okay. So as you decide to get your life together, and this is, I haven't given myself this advice. As you decide to get your life together, realize that everything starts with self. Understand and overstand and know that we will never be able to beat people into submission. And now that we know that, why would we even want to try? And if I know that it is such a hard time for me to keep myself in check on a day-to-day basis, to make sure I don't cuss anybody out, to make sure I don't revert back to the old person that I used to be, to make sure that I don't go upside this person's head. Now, if I know that I have to focus on self-control and I have to focus on me, what sense and what business do you think that I have of trying to control somebody else? The minute that I'm over there trying to control and tell you what to do, now my foot slipped and now I'm messing up. And now it's just a big old mess. And now we both have an issue. And here is another good piece of information that I got a hold of last week, and it's just been replaying in my mind. And it happened in so many different aspects and so many different people. Someone came to me relationship that they're no longer want to be a part of. And I'm thinking to myself, that's okay. Because we are human beings and everything is changing in life. Nothing ever stays the same. You want to get your life together, but your partner don't. You sat down and you had the perfect conversation with them the best way you know how. You were, you know, nice. You weren't a raging lunatic about it. You spoke to them properly, just like an adult, just like we're sitting here having this conversation. I would always say that. You weren't listening, speaking to you like an adult, just like we are having this great conversation. But the minute that alarm went all, oh, that's when all of the bells and whistles and alarms go off, and it's a problem. And it was a problem because you should never go all the way up. Have that conversation with people and let them know. And if they show up and they continue to be who they are, which is what they've been sent to do, there's nothing wrong with that. That's your warning sign. That's your lesson right there. That's when gunshots are fired and those alarms and bells and whistles should go off on your mind and say, up, can't beat people into submission. Like Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them. People know themselves far way better than you do. So when they tell you who they are, when they show you who they are, now you know exactly what to do. Get up and take responsibility for yourself. Everything starts with self. We going in tonight. I always tell my daughters this. The minute that you decide to go back and forth, because I had to learn this. The minute that you decide to go back and forth with somebody, going round and round, arguing or debating about something that is outside of you. Remember, everything starts with self. So arguing or debating with somebody that over something that is outside of you, you've already lost the game. The minute that you decide, because listen, you have to make that decision. Can't nobody else make you do anything or say anything or make you act any type of way. The minute that you decide to go back and forth, round and round, arguing or debating with someone else over something that is outside of you, that don't got nothing to do with you, but it has everything to do with them, you've already lost the game. Right there, that's enough for me because that was my life story. Going round and round with people, debating, arguing with people about things that were outside of me. Because if I know what I'd like to do in my life, if I like to see and I like to know and I understand and I feel deep down inside, my internal dialogue lets me know where I want to be headed in my life, in my direction, what I want from me, because everything starts with self. That's me. What would I look like getting upset over somebody else because their internal dialogue, what they feel about themselves, how they view themselves, how they see themselves? That's them. That don't have nothing to do with me. That's the best advice that I received. And my life I got up and I decided to take responsibility for myself, and my life started to shift and change immediately. It was a scary situation because things started to happen out of nowhere, but my life shifted and changed when I decided to get up and take responsibility for myself and stop going back and forth, arguing, debating with people about things that had nothing to do with me. When I realized that I could not beat people into submission, now I put this out here. When it comes to you getting your life together, when it comes to you getting on track, there's only one thing that is stopping you from getting to the next level. There is only one thing that's stopping you from getting to the next level, and that's you actually making that decision to say, okay, we're going to put some action behind it. We're going to press play. We're going to go. I know that it sucks, and I know it's terrible. Some people might feel a certain way because I did too. You can't beat people into submission. You can't pull people along. Not everybody's going to understand. People are going to look at you like you're crazy. People are going to call you all types of names. They're going to say you're off your rocker, you're nuts, you're this, you're that. And that's only temporarily. They don't see. Years later, once you're on track, once you decide to follow this plan for debt-free living, once you decide to get your life together, once you decide to no longer swipe credit cards, once you decide to no longer, do what everybody else is doing, and you start to separate yourself, those same people that looked at you like you were crazy and like you were nuts and like you were off your rocker, they're going to be the same ones that turn around asking you for help. Now, how did you do that? How did you get that? Talk to me about longevity. 609-200-1098. That is the official 411 podcast hotline. If there's anything that you heard tonight that sparked something in you, if you have any questions about what we have going on here tonight, reach out. You can also head on over to LarenGaines.com if you want to learn any more information about Black Diamond Consultations and this thing that I speak about, which is debt-free living. I have the coaching sessions, which I offer a free 15-minute coaching consultation where we can sit down and discuss and see if you're a good fit and see if you qualify for any coaching services. Now, this is one thing that I've learned is that throughout this journey, I interact with a lot of people. There's a lot of people that come to me and they say, I want to change and I want to level up. I hear this a lot. I want to level up. And the question that I want to put out there, rhetorical question is, are you really done? Have you had enough? Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Because if the answer is no, here's another one. Have you hit rock bottom? And rock bottom is when you can't get any lower. You hit the ground so hard, you hit the ground so low that the only way to get out of your situation is to pull yourself up. If you have not experienced any of those things, if you haven't experienced where it felt like everything was crashing in and it was the end of the world, you're probably not ready. Because those who have had enough, those who take their credit cards and they cut them up and they don't want to use them anymore, and they force themselves to not use them by cutting them up and getting rid of it because they know that if they keep it, they might be tempted to swipe. They might be tempted to do something that they will regret later. If you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, had enough, you might be ready. I don't know. There's so many people that will play this seesaw game of in and out, in and out, in and out of debt, in and out of debt. Ask me how I know, because that was me. But then as I started to get a little older, I'm like, if I don't get this thing right in my 40s, will he give me another opportunity? When am I going to be 50, 60, where I would still be having issues? So I realized that, okay, God, if you get me out of it this time, fool me once, okay, fool me twice. Now, if it happens again, now, you ain't going to help me. I don't know if you're going to help me. The chances are you helping me a third time. I don't know about that. So I think I learned my lesson. 609-200-1098. That's the official 411 podcast hotline. You can reach out to me at info@LarenGaines.com. Head on over to LarenGaines.com if you want to find out more about the coaching sessions and the coaching programs that I offer. Thank you so much for joining in. If you have any questions, please feel free to DM me as well. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, tag a friend. Thank you for joining. We will be here tomorrow. Same time, same place. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow will be Financial Fridays. We are going to dig deep. I know we touched the surface. We spoke about mental aspects of debt-free living tonight. But tomorrow, we're really going to get into the financial aspect of it and start to really dig a little bit deeper when it comes to the financial aspect of debt-free living. And that will be every Friday. So every week, every day of the week except for Saturdays. There's a different theme. We have Spiritual Sunday, we have Mental Monday, we have Transformational Tuesday, Wine Down Wednesday, where we come in, sample wine, read books, and sort of chill a little bit, have a little fun, a little relaxed environment, lots of laughs, good conversation. Go ahead and watch that replay from last night. And then we have coaching session Thursdays, where today, Thursday, is a wild card. You might get spiritual talk, you might get talk on mental, you might get the physical, transformational talk, you might get financial talk. Everything's sort of wrapped up all in one, sort of a wild card on Thursdays. You never know what you might get. And then, of course, we're going to close out the week with Financial Friday, and we are off on Saturday for the Sabbath day and back at it again on Sunday. So that's how the week flows out with the mentorship series. Please come by, hang out, talk, chill, comment in the chat box, talk back and forth. Very special thank you to Facebook. I appreciate y'all out there. Thank you for holding it down. I've seen some great views and some great comments out there. I appreciate that. And on that note, I want to say thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow, Friday, for Financial Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. See you when I see you.